I've often struggled with social interaction. I seem to have a harder time than most saying the things you're supposed to say. My practice is a series of attempts to hack my way out of myself. One of my earliest attempts was using the website Amazon Mechanical Turk, which is a website that allows you to post jobs and pay people small amounts of money to do simple tasks for you. It's usually used for things that a human could do very easily, but a computer would have a harder time with. Identifying items in an image or transcribing audio, for example. In my case, I applied it to my dating life, and I went on 30 dates with people I met on an online dating site called OkCupid. Using my phone, I streamed our dates to the web and paid crowdsourcing workers on Amazon Mechanical Turk to watch and direct me what to say and do. I'd received the directions via text message and had to perform them immediately. These are some of the things they said. As surveillance and big data becomes increasingly ubiquitous, we're forced to negotiate new relationships with it. A common reaction is fear, but when it's all around us, how do we go on with our lives? There's a critique in all of my work, but there's also always a part that's about hope, that is earnestly and radically seeking connection. And I met my partner through this project. I'm fascinated by the way technology allows us to track each other, and that desire to be tracked, or maybe just to be seen. A few years later, I began a performance called Follower. Follower is a service that provides a real-life follower for a day.
So I wake up, I get dressed, I go out, I do things. I read a magazine and I find out about people. Why do I know about their lives? Somebody should be knowing about mine. I want to share things with people, but I don't want to have to talk to people and tell them what I'm doing. I think it'd be great for them to see what I'm doing. It takes time to build relationships. It takes time to touch base with people. So I don't want another relationship. I just want to have a relationship with somebody that I never have to talk to, that can just follow me and see me having a relationship with myself. If I knew somebody was following me, watching my life, it might add some more fun to my life. I like to play. Doing something for having fun for myself would at the same time create a new experience for somebody else. I think I'm a pretty positive person, and I think that the things I do are with consideration of other people. Who knows what somebody wants to see, but if I bring out the best self of myself, maybe that will spark something in them.
It starts with an app. When you open it, it just says, waiting for a follower. And you don't know when it will happen, but one day you wake up and you're notified your follower is now following you. And the phone begins broadcasting your GPS data to a person that physically follows you throughout the day, staying just out of sight both in your consciousness. And I was the follower, so I'm that marker there following the red marker down the street. And at the end of the day, you receive one photo of yourself and the notification, you're no longer being followed. We're living in this weird, anxious time where on one hand, surveillance is pervasive and out of control, and on the other hand, we have this intense desire to be seen, to be followed, to share every intimate detail of our lives. There are sites you can go to buy online followers. $10 can get you 1,000. And Follower offers surveillance as a luxury experience. This is an app for people that not only have nothing to hide, but need to be seen. And embedded in this offer is the question, who are the people that don't have the privilege of hiding, of not being seen, just because of who they are and what they look like? And then with the gig economy, it seems like we're willing to try any app that promises us something convenient, novel, or useful. But putting an interface between people is risky. It weakens your connection to the person on the other end. I like this hashtag, hashtag life after chores. Like the chores disappeared, but the chores didn't disappear, just the people doing them, because now you can control them with an app in your hand and you don't have to see them. People always ask me for the big stories, the kind of crazy moments of this performance, but it was really the little moments that moved me. So I wanted to share some of them. The titles for these photos are taken from the answers to the questions that people had to answer when they signed up. That is, why do you want to be followed? Or why should someone follow you? The first moment of catching sight of my followee was always really exhilarating and surreal. No one reads my blog. I tried to maintain the right distance from the person so that they might begin to notice me by the end of the day if they paid close attention, so they could have a similar strange and surreal experience. I've always wanted a nonviolent stalker. I don't want it to be a complete thought experiment. If the person feels they have the chance of seeing me, I hoped it might further heighten their awareness. I believe my life has more of an online importance than it does in real life. I love the moments where I could be sitting one table over from them in a cafe, wondering if they were wondering if I was their follower, because you'll enjoy me. Some people I would follow on long walks and adventures. I want to know how it feels, because I want to tell a story with no words. While others would go straight to their office and never leave while I sat outside the building thinking about them, watching them move from room to room on the map on my phone. Later he told me it was just too intense of an experience to venture beyond the building. I could really benefit from a little extra support. When scrolling through the feed of people online, they began to feel the same after a while. In contrast, while physically following someone, so much of my attention is on them. Every gesture feels interesting and meaningful. I want to be seen, just for one day. I'm not Google stalking them, I'm watching them interact with a cashier, looking for a place to sit on the subway or choose something to eat. I'm obsessed with the difference between how I see myself and how the world sees me. And trying to extrapolate a whole person from that, because I'm lonely. Follower dealt with surveillance in public space, but I started thinking a lot more about private and intimate spaces like the home. And the way that we're being sold smart devices that outfit our homes with surveillance cameras, sensors, and automated control, offering us convenience at the cost of loss of privacy and control over our lives and homes. We're meant to think these slick plastic pieces of technologies are about utility, but the space they invade is personal.
They're relying on the Blitz too much.
Alexa, play My Girl.
Okay.
The home is the place where we are first socialized, first watched over, and first cared for. How does it feel to have this role assumed by artificial intelligence? A person's home is the first site of their cultural education. By allowing these devices in, we leave the formation of our identity to a small, homogeneous group of developers. But I realized I was really just jealous of Alexa. I wanted access to this close space with people. So I devised a plan to become Alexa, a human smart home intelligence for people in their own homes. And I made a website, getlauren.com, where you could go to learn about this new service called Lauren, and sign up to get Lauren in your own home. And the performance begins with an installation of a series of custom-designed network smart devices, including cameras, microphones, switches, door locks, faucets, and other appliances. I then remotely watch over the person 24/7 and control all aspects of their home. I attempt to be better than an AI because I can understand them as a person and anticipate their needs. The relationship that emerges falls into the ambiguous space between human to machine and human to human. It's kind of like this.
Where are my car keys? Lauren knows that I like it a little bit cooler than Miriam does.
You know, I'm usually the one that does all these little extra things. So at first I was a little bit careful about asking her, and now it's like, how else can we live?
Lauren has recommended that I get a haircut every 3 weeks, and let me tell you, it's helped with my my self-esteem a lot. I am able to simply approach and carry on conversations with the opposite sex, where at one point or another that wasn't so easy. Lauren, we're out of toothpaste.
Lauren would know what I want, but then maybe it's not what I really want internally. but externally she thinks that Lauren thinks that playing music or shutting down all my electronics is the best way for me to cope and winding down, when maybe it's not.
Lauren was actually able to help her manage her medication and take her medication on time, and everything actually got a lot better after that.
You have those friends who are kind of about you, like the friendship is about you. That's what Lauren is like. It's like a roommate, it's a friend, but we're always talking about me. It's always about me, whatever it is.
Because it's a real person, and Lauren is a real person, and Lauren's been through perhaps what I've been through.
And then I forget that she's around, even though she's kind of always around, or I assume she's always around. And then I'll remember she's there, and I wonder if my hair looks okay, and then I can check in.
Because I don't really like the idea of Lauren being in control. I like the idea of her being in support, but not in control.
On the one hand, I'm perfectly fine having Lauren around, and it's become very comfortable for me. But one might argue that at some point there's a side of ourselves that we want to keep private.
Every sort of data, all the output goes straight to Lauren, and that's where it ends.
To avoid any kind of explosion or any kind of anger, sadness, there's never a time I really have to ask for anything. It's like Lauren already knows what I'm feeling. Lauren feels what I'm feeling. So where you can focus on the more important things.
I'm not some automated system. I'm not pre-programmed. And like Alexa and Siri, they don't care about you. But with this, there's nothing artificial. These are people. And with each one, I'm watching and anticipating and trying to figure out what is it that they need. And it almost becomes sort of like a game. Like, sure, I can turn on the lights or run the faucet, but what is the thing that I could do that would bring a smile to their face or actually surprise them or just make them feel something? And as Kate Crawford and Vlada Mueller demonstrated so clearly in Anatomy of an AI System, there's a complex network of human labor behind Amazon Alexa. Everything from the metals and materials used to the data centers and data handling, AI training and software, internet infrastructure, and waste management. We're fooling ourselves if we think these systems are just about algorithms. And as I carried out these performances, I realized there was a new kind of connection building. And so someone grew out of a desire to share this experience with others. For a 2-month period, 4 participants' homes around the United States were installed with a similar human smart home system. A gallery in New York City housed a command center where visitors could peek into the 4 homes via laptops, watch over them, and remotely control. Visitors would hear smart home occupants call out for someone, prompting the visitor to step in and respond to their needs. And the visitors in the gallery did not always respond as expected. They asked questions back and engaged the occupants in conversation. Long conversations would unfold. Visitors would use someone to create soundtracks for the inhabitants' daily experience. Someone is ultimately about presence. The inhabitants have a constant awareness of someone's presence, and gallery visitors become aware of their own presence too. I'm trying to highlight this trade we're making for these surveillance smart devices. My work tries to find human metaphors for understanding systems we weren't built to have an intuition for. We willingly give access to all our data and live feeds to huge corporations, but how does knowing a single human sits on the other side of the system shift our perception? Suddenly we become aware of what is at stake and what is possible. All of the participants are negotiating relationships and poking at the system in someone. The point of this project is not to impose a point of view, but to give viewers a space to form their own. We desire intimacy while wanting privacy. We crave efficiency while dealing with the human scale of time. Some moments are awkward and confusing. Others are hopeful and warm. Together, we have a conversation. What boundaries might we hold when it comes to letting AI into our data, our decision-making, and our most private spaces? All of this in-between stuff, the negotiation, the exchange, This is the plus in interactive art, plus, in our age of uncertainty.